I never would have thought that this would happen to me. Never.
The contents of this disheveled storage unit make up half of Samantha Vernon's life. The other half was left behind after she and her 2 daughters were evicted from their home last month.
We couldn't sit there and really pack. I got to put my stuff in bags? Yep, because I had to put it in trash bags because they wanted me out so fast.
Right. You went from living in your place
for 3 years, comfortable,
yeah.
Thought I didn't have no worries till the next day. Everything is gone from me.
Samantha is far from the only one confronting this nightmare. America is on the verge of an eviction crisis. Nationwide, there are nearly 10 million fewer jobs than there were at the start of the pandemic, and now an estimated 6.7 million renter households currently unable to make rent.
The United States is facing the greatest eviction crisis we have ever seen in our country's history. Renters are stretched threadbare.
And those most vulnerable to eviction are the least likely to be able to pull themselves out. An ABC News analysis shows during the pandemic, the rate of evictions in majority Black and Latino neighborhoods has been twice as high as in mostly white neighborhoods. Samantha has a good-paying, essential job at a post office in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. She says when her union rep claimed several of her coworkers had tested positive for the virus, she decided to take family leave, reducing her pay by 1/3 in hopes of protecting herself and her girls.
You kind of were in the position where you had to choose between the money and your family's safety and your own safety?
Yeah.
Soon after, she started to fall behind on her rent.
My check wasn't that good. I thought I could make it up and give it to them.
But you knew at the time that you weren't paying what you owed them, but you figured these are difficult times and I'll be good for it.
Right.
In September, Samantha received a complaint notice saying she owed about $2,000 in rent. She immediately started chipping away at her debt, sending more than $1,500 through October, and a district judge had ruled that as long as she was making payments, she would be allowed to stay in her home.
I thought me giving them their money was communicating, but I guess that wasn't enough for them.
Despite the stay and pay order from the judge and the fact she'd paid more than half of what she owed, on November 5th, she was evicted.
The marshals was there. I said, I have the $900 now. I can go get a money order and give it to you guys. They specifically told me, we don't want your money. You got to go now. You got 15 minutes to get out. I begged them. I said, listen, I don't have nowhere else to go.
The management company of Samantha's apartment complex tells ABC News in part that it complies with all state and federal landlord-tenant laws and all orders and statutes enacted in response to COVID-19. In this matter, a hearing was held in the landlord-tenant court. The court ordered the eviction. That eviction has now shown up on Samantha's rental background check, making it incredibly difficult to get into a new home.
How many places do you think you've applied to?
I'm going to say about 12.
12 of them?
Yeah, about 10, 12
And you've been turned out by all of them?
All of them.
Do they say outright, we've declined because you were evicted?
Yeah. So I spent over $200 on application fees, and I got denied.
Samantha admits she made some mistakes, including missing her court hearing, but even so, she says her eviction should not have been allowed to go forward because this September, the CDC essentially banned them. The agency's emergency declaration put a provisional halt on residential evictions nationwide.
When an eviction occurs, families end up doubling up or they're transient, and this increases their contact with others, and it decreases their ability to comply with the CDC's pandemic mitigation strategies like self-quarantine or social distancing.
A recent study from UCLA shows this summer expired state eviction bans led to more than 433,000 COVID cases and 10,000 deaths. To qualify for the CDC protection, renters have to earn less than $99,000 as individuals or $198,000 for couples, show that they've asked for government rental assistance, declare the pandemic has created financial hardship, and declare that they'd be homeless if evicted. Samantha didn't learn about that CDC protection until it was too late, and she was unable to wage a legal battle.
You know, I don't have $500 to pay for a lawyer every day to take them to court.
With nowhere else to turn, she ended up moving in here with her sister and her niece, creating the exact situation the CDC has been trying to prevent.
My 11-year-old, she's upset. You know, she doesn't have her room anymore, so she likes to be alone right now. She's at that age, and she can't really do it right now.
For children, eviction is particularly traumatizing. It ends up resulting in a move to communities with poor performing schools, higher crimes, substandard living environments.
If you present it to your landlord, that protects you from the eviction.
Thank you.
And here's our card if you know anyone else who's in the same situation.
Great, I know a lot of people, so thank you.
Housing advocate Caleb Kosick sets up outside the district court in Harrisburg.
Did you have a hearing with your landlord this morning?
Alerting tenants of the CDC order before they go in for their eviction hearings.
Yeah.
Landlords are not required to inform their tenants that the order even exists. Caleb says some landlords are finding loopholes to get out of honoring it.
One of the biggest issues of the CDC order is the clause that states it only covers cases of non-payment of rent. So landlords can say that the lease is expired, the lease is being terminated, there was some violation of the lease. And when they do that, they can then sue for possession. This is the one you want to take.
Another issue is that interpretation of the CDC order is left up to judges.
In a lot of cases, they side with the landlords almost across the board. The numbers of people we're having to talk to that are just in tragic situations, it's rising week to week.
Are you here for the evictions this morning?
Once these evictions have been ordered, it's up to law enforcement to carry them out. And for Houston Constable Alan Rosen, that process is crushing.
It's the absolute worst part of my job.
After overseeing eviction after eviction in his precinct, that empathy drove Constable Rosen to raise money for a new eviction clinic where people could get legal help for free to fight back. My colleague Marcus Moore stopped by.
The families that I met have said this is the first time they've ever had to get any kind of help.
I can't tell you how many landlords that the courts asked the question, has this tenant ever not paid their rent? And they said, no, they've always paid their rent on time. Well, if they pay their rent on time and they've been good tenants, work with them.
Melissa Flores is one of those people, a single mother with an 11-year-old daughter who for the first time needs help.
I've never been in this situation, never in my life, never.
She says as a house cleaner, there just hasn't been work during the pandemic, and now she can't pay her $920 a month rent.
I've always made it through everything. Struggle a little, but I've made it. But never this bad.
For now, Melissa's received the help she needs. The constable's clinic helped her invoke the CDC order to stave off her eviction. But this is a temporary bandage for a still looming problem, as the CDC order expires December 31st.
And do you know what you will do come January?
Only God knows. I don't know. To be honest with you, I wouldn't know. I just gotta wait until that day gets here.
We have to be fair to the landlords as well from this, because they have mortgage payments to pay, they have property taxes to pay, they have insurance to pay, they have repairs to make.
The CDC can't go in and say, we have picked a winner and a loser, and tenants don't have to pay anymore, and landlords have to provide free housing. The CDC just does not have that authority.
Caleb Kruckenberg is a lawyer with the New Civil Liberties Alliance. His organization is representing several landlords pro bono in a lawsuit against the CDC order. He says the order is a troubling example of government overreach.
We filed this lawsuit to tell the CDC and other agencies that they cannot get away with this kind of behavior.
Is it just simply we need to follow the rules no matter what?
We need to follow the rules that the Constitution set. The CDC is a public health organization. They're not a housing policy organization. They're not Congress.
Are you aware of landlords that are starting that eviction process in hopes that this CDC order will soon expire and then they can move forward?
So what we do know is that once the CDC eviction order ends, there will suddenly be a lot of action in housing court across the country. And there very will likely be a wave of eviction lawsuits.
Emily Benfer wrote an amicus brief supporting the CDC in Kruckenberg's lawsuit. That case is now on appeal.
Eviction is a jagged slide with no ladder back up, and this is something that our country will be recovering from for generations to come.
Renters who successfully use the CDC order before it expires are responsible for paying back the rent they missed, but that's going to take a staggering amount of money. By January, renters will owe an estimated $34 billion.
And this is one of the reasons why we need rent relief from Congress as quickly as possible.
How worried are you right now?
I'm very worried. It's very hard. You know, the holidays is coming. It's about to be Christmas and New Year's. I ain't got nowhere to go.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.